In 1958, I started a chain of convenience stores called Pronto Markets in Pacific Palisades, actually. In 1966, we bought an old market on Mission Street called the Mission Street Market. It was been built in 1912, built with gravity brick construction, which was a two-story building with an apartment above, which the family had lived in. The store had been closed, and we bought the property, and we converted it into a Pronto Market, which was the 18th and last Pronto Market that we built. The reason that it was that same year 7-Eleven came to Los Angeles. And knowing that 7-Eleven was so much bigger than we were, I had to devise something different. And so about 6 months after we opened the South Pasadena Pronto Market, we developed the idea of Trader Joe's. Trader Joe's fundamentally is designed for people who are overeducated and underpaid. In 1969, I moved the headquarters of Trader Joe's to South Pasadena at 507 Mission Street because there was a nice chunk of space there for lease at a reasonable rate. Trader Joe's remained there for almost 30 years until, about 2001, something like that. They moved to Monrovia. I read that the 747 would go into service in 1970 and that it would radically reduce the cost of foreign travel, which it did. Well, travel is another form of education, especially in freeing up your preconceived notions about food and beverage. And that is why we got the name Trader Joe's, was to evoke images of the South Seas. And that is why the employees wear Hawaiian shirts. And that's why the managers are called captains and the assistant managers are first mates. And we used to have a lot of marine artifacts in the stores. And then after I left Trader Joe's, they sort of went away, and now the current management is bringing them back. So Trader Joe's then, at that first stage, was an amalgam of a Pronto Market with a big liquor store. And so to fight the recession, in January 1971, we grafted the health food store onto the liquor store. And within 6 months, we were the largest retailers of Altadena certified raw milk in California. This is how we got into nuts and dried fruits and became the largest retailer of nuts and dried fruits in California. While we got into vitamins, we still have the Trader Darwin's, a line of vitamins for the survival of the fittest. And because the health food movement at the time stupidly thought that cheese was a healthy food, we put cheese departments in all the stores. And that's how we became the largest retailers of brie in the United States and the largest retailers of English cheeses in the United States. When I left Trader Joe's at the end of 1988, we were selling 70% of all the Jarlsberg sold in the States, sort of thing. Well, this worked great. We bought a master wine grower's license from Dr. Agazotti out in Cucamonga, a winery which he started in 1933 when it became legal. And we took that master wine grower's license and we brought it here to 538 Mission Street. And we operated a winery legally and sort of physically at 538 Mission Street from 1973 until 1985, I would say. And we actually had grapes brought in, and we had a crusher, and me and all the other top managers would be there, and our kids and our wives, everybody out there stomping grapes. This gave us certain grandfathered tasting privileges, which were not available to new issue master wine grower licenses. And that's how we were able to hold in the back room of our offices the massive tastings, which became a rather popular feature of the Pasadena countryside, because you go down to Trader Joe's at 6 o'clock at night and you taste 60 wines. The background of this, we're going back now to the first edition of Trader Joe's. It's 1969, and we're into the wine business, and so I start something called the Insider's Report. And it was meant to be sort of a gossip sheet about wine, and only wine buffs, all of those there in the telephone booth, signed up for it, or were meant to sign up for it. But there was nothing like the Wine Spectator or anything like that in those days. So we built up a mailing list, and the next year, 1970 then, or we're 71, we're moving into health foods, and I decide that we're going to start writing up food as well as wine. And again, it was still called the Insider's Report. And that went along for a number of years until 1982, actually. And we copyrighted, and I went through some legal battles over protecting the name. Meantime, Loblaws, the biggest grocery chain in Canada, had learned about Trader Joe's, and their CEO came down here and visited me, and he fell in love with the Insider's Report. And so he paid us a great deal of money to buy the name. Well, which actually I was getting sort of tired of, and I'd been thinking of something else anyway, namely the Fearless Flyer. I took Mad Magazine and married it to Consumer Reports, and that's why the cartoons are there. And the cartoons are all pre-1906 artwork because there is no copyright protection. And I used to haunt used bookstores to buy, especially boys' adventure books. But the art only works very interesting. Period from 1850 to about 1875, and then printing techniques changed. And what after that date, you can't find it. But the labels on the private label products were all taken out of this. And the cartoons are there for one primary purpose, and that is to mock Trader Joe's, to mock his pretensions of expertise, of honesty, or whatever. It's meant to be a corrective.
Trader Joe,
Okay.
thank you very much.
Okay, well, thank you for your interest. Thanks for listening.